And welcome back again. So, we've established fitting the wall plates and we've marked out our wall plates. So, now we need to get to the technical side. We're going to start looking at true lengths and true angles. Okay, so to start with, we need to know what pitch our roof is going to be. Pete, where are we going to find that information?
Well, it should be on the drawing specification.
Perfect, yeah. So where we found out our centres, it should also tell us the pitch. Once I know the pitch, I'm going to use this handy book. So Roofing Ready Reckoner. Okay, it's got all the different pitches in there. I'm just going to scroll through until I find my 40 degree. I'm just going to park that to one side for now. If we look at it as a triangle, we've got a 90 degree corner. This is our pitch, which will also be known as our seat cut. So we're looking at abbreviations. Seat cut, common rafter. The top one up there will be what, Pete?
The plumb cut, common rafter.
Correct. So we're looking at our plumb cut, common rafter. So if we know that's 90, that one's 40, as it says so on our drawing. The total of a triangle, 180 degrees. So the top one is going to be 50. So, what I've done, I'm fortunate to have two sliding bevels. I've used a protractor to form a 40 and a 50 degree angle, and I've kept that onto just a nice piece of ply or MDF, just in case I was on the top of a roof and I dropped my bevel, I've still got a reference point there. You'll also notice in pen, I've labelled them, okay. Also, you can put a bit of masking tape around there. Once you're doing that, it just shows a bit of competency. It shows you know what we're talking about. So, I've got my ready reckoner, I've got my two sliding bevels, and I've set them on my bevel board. So, where do we go from there? We need to know this distance here, which is our pitch line. We'll convert back to the ready reckoner, and what that ready reckoner tells us is on the 40 degree pitch, for every metre of run, Pete, remind me again, what's the run?
Half the span.
Half the span, good. So for every metre of run, this pitch line is going to be 1.305. Okay? So for example, if we had 10 metres of run, we'd need to multiply that figure by 10. 20, multiply by 20. 100, multiply by 100. I think you're going to get the picture. Okay? We've worked out our run, looking back at our wall plate, is 500 millimetres, so half a metre. We still need to multiply it by that number. Don't fall in the trap of thinking because it's below a metre, we need to divide it. We don't. It's still a multiplication. And what you've noticed as well is I'm making sure I'm working in the same unit all the time. Don't start adding millimetres to metres, getting them confused. So it's always a multiplication. You always need to transfer it into metres. We've got that figure. What do we do with that next step? So, I've got my piece of timber. The very first check I'm going to make, I'm going to check it for bow. See if it's got a camber. Okay? I always will, if it has, I want to make sure that camber is facing up. So that when that roof's loaded out with tiles and battens over time, it'll sort of flatten out. So that's my first port of call. From there, I'm going to find my plumb cut, and I'm going to mark that onto the top of there on that blue line that you can see. I'm going to talk about the second line in a minute, but just focus on that top line. And then what you'll notice is you've got a dotted line that is sort of somewhere in the width of that timber. Okay? Building regs state that when we look at taking out a bird's mouth, we cannot take out any more than a third of the width of the timber. So what I've done, I've measured the width, divided by 3, and I'll set a combination square to that. So, as we're looking at it, I now know that distance from there to there is that distance from there to there, which is that calculation there. So, it's 653 millimetres. Transferred that down. My plumb cut, I've continued down from the top, which is the blue line, so the angle stays the same. This is where my second side of bevel comes in, and that is that seat cut. That will then sit on top of that wall plate. So that angled in inside there should be 90 degrees. What I'm going to do is square those lines down. Same at the top, and you still need to make one more alteration at the top. What we'll have running through the centre of our roof is a ridge board. There's a spine to the roof, ties the roof together. Okay? I need to deduct half of that ridge board. For this exercise, we're going to use 18mm ply. Okay? So I've transferred across at a 90-degree line to that plumb cut, half of 18, so 9mm. This becomes my new cut line. Okay? I've made a key point of squaring my lines down. I appreciate it's a roof and it's not a joinery product, but it's going to cause a lot of problems if one, your plumb cut at the top isn't square, isn't cut square, and if your bird's mouth also isn't cut square, your rafter isn't going to sit nice and neatly on